What's good, everybody? Genesis Jones here with Total G-Shockers, and in this video we'll be uncovering our top 10 list of the best dive watches on the market today. So let's get into it. So as you all may know, a diving watch, commonly just referred to as a dive watch, is a timepiece that is designed for the purpose of diving underwater. Now these watches have water resistances that are typically greater than 100 meters. Most times they're around 200 to 300 meters. Now a true contemporary diver's watch is in accordance with the ISO 6425 standard, which describes test standards and features that these watches need in order to be suitable for diving underwater in depths of 100 meters or more. Especially in the spring and summer seasons, a dive watch is unquestionably your daily go-to watch. And the versatility of a dive watch is what many find impressive. You can rock it at the beach, on your vacations, or you can dress it up with a suit when going to a special event. Dive watches typically showcase their robust features that is able to blend function with fashion seamlessly. Now for some people, a dive watch seems like the perfect timepiece to get in order to round out your growing watch collection. And that's awesome. But then there are some of you that may think that a dive watch is too excessive. And you'd be right. But in this case, excessive is good. Now the three things to look for when choosing a dive watch include the water resistance, sturdy watch band, and the watch case. Now when it comes to water resistance, and as we mentioned earlier, it's important to evaluate what you'll be using the watch for. If you plan on snorkeling, swimming, or doing any other water sports like that, then a watch with 100 to 200 meters of water resistance should suffice. Now let's talk about the watch band. You know that there are limitless watch strap pairings. When it comes to a dive watch, a stainless steel or rubber strap is suitable and recommended for diving. With both of these options, the watch is reinforced when on your wrist so that it doesn't slip off and float down away from you in the water. And the stainless steel and rubber are preferable over leather in this case due to the fact that they don't absorb liquid and won't inherit odors after an active day in the water, unlike the leather. And trust me, you don't want to have a stinky watch on. That ain't cute. And lastly, the watch case of the dive watch is important as well. In order to reinforce the water resistance of the watch, it's important for the case to feature a screw down crown and a screwed case back. By screwing these pieces down into the case, the risk of the crown or case back being opened by external forces while underwater is reduced, and your watch is further protected from water damage. And it's best if the case is stainless steel or a strong rubber to act as an additional shield against the natural elements. Now having a unidirectional rotating bezel and a clean design are also important, but those three things I mentioned are of absolute importance. All of the watches in this list will have some mention of all of these characteristics as they apply. Now this was actually a really tough list for the team to organize because there are so many dive watches to choose from. So do me a favor, after seeing this list, if there are other dive watches that you think should have made this list, put it down in the comments section. And don't worry, I'll remind you again at the end of this video, but we want to know which dive watches you would have put in this list. Alright, enough of this. Let's jump into our top 10 list already. So number 10, Seiko Prospects. Now you already know that Seiko makes great dive watches and the Prospex is no exception. The construction is robust, the designs are user-friendly and utilitarian, and the quality is always grade A. The 13mm thick stainless steel case has a super hard coating, and the stainless steel bracelet with a 3-fold clasp is used to securely lock the watch on your arm. Now on some models, there is the option for a silicone strap instead. I mean, this is a legitimate dive watch with this unidirectional rotating bezel complete with aluminum inserts and 60-minute diving scales, screw down crowns, and water resistance between 200 to 600 meters, which is insane. The design of the case and the dial definitely has a vintage feel to it, but it also has some subtle modern features. The shape is inspired by the 1968 diver, but the bezel is slightly thinner and offered in either black or blue. The dial, having a vintage look to it as well, also has modern tweaks like the contemporary hands and font, as well as the Prospex logo at the 6 o'clock position, which is a staple of Seiko modern divers. The rectangular date wheel opening in the dial at the 3 o'clock was previously somewhat flat in earlier models, but now that the edges of the opening are beveled, the date has more of a three-dimensional look, which I really like. The dial is covered with sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. I mean, the Prospex has a nice balance that looks really good on the wrist and does just enough to set itself apart from some of the other Seiko and other notable dive watch brands. Now, the weight of the watch is 181 grams. The diameter of the watch is 44 millimeters, and the retail price starts at $375 in US currency. At the end of the day, the Seiko Prospects is a great dive watch to consider. The quality of construction and the overall execution of the case and bracelet are phenomenal. You can tell that the attention to detail is evident, and the polish and brush finishes make this an attractive piece when showing it off to your friends in the case or on your wrist. Now, this is the perfect watch that you could wear to the office or the beach without having to sacrifice comfort, style, or durability. Number 9. TAG Heuer Aquaracer. Now, TAG Heuer, founded in Switzerland in 1860, has a distinguished history of offering luxury timepieces that are designed for use by the guy who typically leads an active lifestyle. TAG Heuer does offer luxury watches which are as appropriate for an evening out as they are for a day of casual sports, which includes sailing or auto racing. Now, the Aquaracer incorporates the qualities that men have come to expect from TAG Heuer over the last century and a half. The Aquaracer has definitely evolved its look over the years, with the basic design of the case shape and the trademark 6 studs on the rotating bezel being maintained. The Calibre 5 models have a horizontal streak pattern across the dial, while the quartz models have a 2-part dial with a starburst center dial surrounded by an outer textured pattern. Covered with the sapphire crystal, which provides great protection to resist scratches. It also features a unidirectional turning bezel with engraved numerals, a polished steel screw-in crown and case back with a diving bell engraving, and comes with either stainless steel or a rubber strap. There's also a date window at 3 o'clock and a 300-meter water resistance. Now, the weight of the watch starts at 167 grams. The case of the watch is 40.5 millimeters wide, and the retail price of the TAG Heuer Aquaracer is around $3,600 in US currency, depending on which model you choose. So the TAG Heuer Aquaracer is the ultimate sports watch inspired by the aquatic world. Number 8. Breitling Superocean Heritage 2 Collection. First launched in 1957, the original Breitling Superocean was considered one of the best dive watches, with its fancy 200 meters and all. You know, back then, that was a big deal. Anyway, today's Superocean far surpasses the first edition. In fact, some versions of the Superocean have been water resistant to as much as 1,500 meters. This particular collection has 200 meters of water resistance. Now, the non-chronograph version of this watch comes in either blue, brown, or black. These watches are featured on a steel mesh bracelet or rubber lined leather, which is just impeccable, simply for bringing out the depth of rich color in the face and clarity of design. The case back is screwed in with a screw lock case and 2 gaskets in order to prevent leaks into the watch. The lugs are polished and are manufactured from the highest quality of steel to the best precision. The dial is covered with glare-proof sapphire crystal, ensuring a smooth and trouble-free experience both on land and underwater. The Heritage 2's ceramic bezel has a matte finish and a Super Luminova luminant-filled pip at 12 o'clock on the rotating bezel. I like the fact that the hour hand is arrow-shaped and the minute hand is sword-shaped. So fit and finish on the Superocean is great. The hands and dial markers grab the light, whether natural or artificial light, in an incredible way, and as a result, this watch is legible under just about any lighting conditions. I mean, look at this. Let's just take a few seconds to look at this beautiful timepiece. Alright, enough of that. Aside from the phenomenal legibility, the shapes of the hands and indices, in addition to the inviting richness of the dial and bezel colors that this timepiece commands, it just proves that designing an aesthetically subtle dive watch is not such a far-fetched idea after all. Now, the weight of the watch is 114.2 grams without the strap. The diameter of the watch is 46 millimeters, and the price starts at $4,560 in US currency. Easily pegged as one of the most trustworthy and leading watch brands, the Breitling Superocean Heritage 2 collection is definitely an established, diverse series of watches that encompasses high-performing, sturdy, and reliable timepieces. Number 7. Calibre de Cartier Carbon Diver. The Calibre de Cartier Diver is a surely well-balanced watch, with its rotating bezel offsetting the dial, which, if you notice, resembles that of a chronograph. What I love about this watch is the overall slimness and great wearability on your wrist. I also love the variety of colors that this collection has. It adds a sort of playful touch of personality to a brand that is often seen as stoic and sometimes stiff aesthetic. Now, there is a bezel that is inwardly angled and slightly glossy, making it scratch resistant. Also on the bezel, there is the Super Luminova indicator at the 12 o'clock position, 300 meters of water resistance, which is a great improvement considering that the first Cartier Calibra had a pathetic 30 meters of water resistance. Womp womp. Now, this watch also has a solid case back, a screw down crown, great legibility, and yup, you're seeing that right on this watch. I'm talking about the date at the 3 o'clock position that shows you the date for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I really like that feature. There's also a dial covered with sapphire crystal and capable in-house automatic movement. The rubber strap is comfy, sporty, and certainly ideal for a watch like this. Now, the weight of the watch is 111 grams. The diameter of the watch is 42 millimeters, and the retail price starts at $7,900 in US currency. The Calibre de Cartier Diver is a dress diver, not only having a place in the sports watch world, but also has a more modern context as an object of luxury, striking the perfect balance between elegant and adventurous intentions. Combining a high luxury sense of design and prestige with the presumed durability of a sports watch, the Calibre Diver is a must if you want a watch that is sure to please. Number 6. Ulysse Nardin Locle Collection. The Ulysse Nardin collection is a straightforward diver watch with in-house movement, silicone components, 100-meter water resistance, and true vintage aesthetics. From a design perspective, the Locle is moderately sized with prominent lugs that appear to be in proportion with the rest of the design. The lugs are beveled and give off a polished look, and the watch comes with a durable sailcloth strap. The dial has a deep matte texture that heavily contrasts the big Super Luminova indices. Other touches to note are large luminescent hour markers, thick pencil-like hands, the simple date readout that's found at the 3 o'clock position, small seconds display at the 6 o'clock position, the dome sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating, circular cyclops, and glossy aluminum unidirectional bezel finish with a thick coin edge pattern. Now, what sets the Diver Locle apart as one of the top diver watches is what's within the case. This watch is powered by the Calibre UN320, which is a manufacturer movement with silicone escapement and hairspring. And I know I might have said a bunch of mumble jumble, but basically what that means is that this watch is not only just resistant to magnetism, but it is essentially immune to it. The watch has a 48-hour power reserve and is simply unbeatable in this category. Now, the weight of the watch is 138 grams. The diameter of the watch is 44 millimeters, and the retail price is $9,600 in US currency. In the end, the Ulysse Nardin Diver Locle is a solid, handsome watch that you should definitely consider. Even though it's not necessarily unusual for a brand to release a vintage-inspired dive watch like the Locle, when the brand is as noteworthy as Ulysse Nardin, it's sure to make a mark in the dive watch world. Alright, before we get into our top 5 dive watches on this list, let's jump into our honorable mention. So for our honorable mention, we have the GShock Frogmen. Now, the Frogman is designed for use by scuba divers, and it combines several core G-Shock and Casio technologies all wrapped up in one watch. It has triple sensor, a depth gauge, thermometer, compass, 6-band radio controlled watch, 200-meter water resistance, and a case construction that makes the watch extremely shock resistant. This is certainly a very sturdy backup watch to the dive computer. Now the buttons on the Frogmen are large, making it easy for you to operate even if you have thick gloves on. Case and carbon fiber reinforced strap are both very sturdy, and this model has a full stainless steel inner container for the timing module, as well as a screw and case back, which both have DLC coating to provide a scratch resistant surface. Also, the Frogman case is sapphire crystal. Furthermore, it comes with a self-charging feature via solar energy. GShock's tough solar power is able to convert not only solar but also fluorescent lights into energy that is sufficient to recharge the watch battery. Now the weight of the watch is 141 grams, the diameter of the watch is about 60 millimeters, and the retail price starts at $700 in US currency. Now, is the GShock Frogman for you? A popular model from the Master G line, the Frogman is more durable and functional than ever before. Nothing about this GShock GWF-Frogman feels cheap, and the overall fit and finish are quite different than some of the more entry-level models in the GShock line. Alright, now that we got through our honorable mention, let's go ahead and get back to our top 5 dive watches on this list. So number 5, Omega Seamaster Collection. The Omega Seamaster 300 meters has a dial that is surely a sight for sore eyes. It features a ceramic bezel as well as a ceramic dial, which is laser engraved with the well-known wave motif. The use of ceramic is great for this dive watch because not only won't it fade, but it also won't accumulate many scratches. The combination of the ceramic rotating bezel and dial just make this watch visually appealing. The dial has a glossy finish that is able to pick up the light really well. I mean, both the bezel and the dial give the impression that this watch is very high quality and high precision in the manufacturing process. Now, the Seamaster is truly an iconic model in the Omega watch world, and one of the most iconic design elements on this watch is the manual helium release valve that is located at the 10 o'clock position on the case. Now, for those who may be asking, Genesis, what is the helium release valve thingy and what does it do exactly? Well, I'm glad you asked. The helium release valve, also known as the helium escape valve, is a feature found on some diving watches, and its main purpose is to decompress the watch when professional divers are operating at great depths for prolonged periods of time. You see, helium can build up in a watch under external pressure, and it's important that that pressure be released, or else you could pressurize the watch case and blow the watch face off. No, seriously. So the helium release valve is placed on the watch so that you professional divers can use the watch at great depths without worrying about it getting wrecked. What I find very appealing about this watch is the existence of the sapphire crystal case back so that you are able to see the automatic Omega Calibre 8800 movement. And the Calibre 8800 is an upgrade from the Calibre 2500 that's found in previous Seamaster models. As with the quality of the case, dial, hands, and strap, which is available in either rubber or stainless steel, the Calibre 8800 is yet another feature that gives you the feeling that Omega cares about the manufacturing of each watch, no matter if it is considered a starter watch or is for the ultimate watch connoisseur. Now, the weight of the watch is 209.2 grams, the diameter of the watch is 41 millimeters, and the retail price is $4,400 in US currency. In the end, this Omega Seamaster Diver collection will leave you feeling satisfied, knowing that you just invested in a very well-made, very solid piece of well-engineered timepiece. With this watch, Omega continues to set the bar higher for others to reach their level of expertise when it comes to the overall design of this dive watch. Number 4, Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Diver. Now, when it comes to Audemars Piguet, just think of top quality. The case is sporty and perfectly adaptable to your recreational diving sessions. The crown on the Royal Oak Offshore Diver is well protected by a large piece on the side of the case and is coated with rubber. This is for the case for the second crown at the 10 o'clock position as well. Now, the finishing is top notch. The case alternatives between polished and brushed surfaces with clear distinction between these areas. Sapphire crystal is on both sides of the watch. Like all of the watches in the Royal Oak collection, the Offshore Diver is also very precise, very well executed, and offers this surprising combination of sturdiness and quality, all along with a delicate finishing. The dial has a classical square pattern texture. The hands use the classical marginally oversized RO design, and the overall legibility is very good, whatever color you choose. Now, some of the more fun colors of the dial that are available are blue, white, orange, lime green, and yellow. And each of these colored dials come with a matching rubber strap. Now, these offshore divers are built to withstand 300 meters of pressure underwater. Now, one thing to note is that there is no external rotating bezel on this watch, and it makes sense. As you can see, the bezel is octagonal, so having a rotating bezel, and specifically one with a diving scale engraved, would seem a little odd and might actually ruin the overall congruency of the watch. So what AP did instead was incorporate an internal rotating chapter ring on the periphery of the dial to calculate elapsed time. And this internal rotating ring is what's being actuated by the second crown at the 10 o'clock position. Now, in terms of comfortability, the Royal Oak Offshore doesn't wear like a standard watch, meaning that while on paper the proportions may feel a little restrained compared to other dive watches, it actually wears much larger when you put it on your wrist, and it has more presence on your wrist while still remaining extremely comfortable as it embraces your wrist. Now, the weight of the watch is 169 grams, the diameter of the watch is 42 millimeters, and the retail price starts at $18,000 in US currency. The overall construction of the Royal Oak Offshore Diver is definitely solid, allowing you to feel that high quality while wearing on your wrist. This watch is a massive, rugged, and sturdy block of stainless steel, and the adjustments on the case are quite precise, lending an overall assembly that is what you would ultimately expect from such a high-end watch. Number 3, Tudor Heritage Black Bay Steel. Now, the sister brand of Rolex, Tudor's Black Bay collection is one of the most successful, which includes their diving watches. These vintage-inspired dive watches are based on what had been the brand's most successful piece, the 1960s Submariner. First, note the steel bezels insert being used instead of aluminum inserts. Now, the steel insert gives a rather different design to the watch. It makes it more modern looking, more technical, more casual, and less vintage inspired. The steel circular ring is brushed and engraved with the 60-minute diving scale. This bezel changes the perception of the watch once you start wearing it. Playing with the light and showing changes in proportion, it changes the contrast and makes it more of a tool than just a retro looking diver. I mean, this watch just draws the attention once it's on your wrist, putting more focus on the dial rather than on its bezel. The dial of the Black Bay still includes rimmed snowflake hands that are generously filled with superluminova. The Tudor signature and shield sit at the 12 o'clock position, and at the 6 o'clock position you'll find the water resistance followed by the words chronometer officially certified in white. There's also the addition of a date window at the 3 o'clock position on this Black Bay. Now, what I like about the date being placed on the dial is that it makes the watch look more modern, as it additionally gives a more practical, user-friendly touch to a piece that was originally meant for people who are watch aficionados. This Black Bay still has 200 meters of water resistance, screwed steel case back that is brushed and polished, a 60-minute unidirectional bezel with a brushed and engraved steel insert, a domed sapphire crystal on top of the dial, and the option of an aged leather strap on folding clasp or a steel riveted bracelet on folding clasp. Now, the weight of the watch is 102 grams, the diameter of the watch is 41 millimeters, and the retail price is $3,800 in US currency. Altogether, the Black Bay Steel is yet another beautifully constructed timepiece in the Black Bay series. Tudor has yet again proved their ability to produce solid offerings among their own myriad of watches so that there's something to accommodate everybody's taste. Number 2, BellinRoss Diver. Now, with its iconic round within a square shape, this BellinRoss case has become a signature design of the brand. For most of us, a dive watch has to be round, simply because we typically think of having a rotating bezel. But when it comes to the BellinRoss, we can be convinced that square divers are acceptable as well. This watch has gained elegance and details over the years with the addition of a circular brush surface on top, polished screws and bevels on the periphery. giving your watch a more luxurious touch. Now, circling the dial is the traditional unidirectional 60-minute bezel and a screw down crown that's covered in rubber for better grip and higher protection on the watch to avoid shocks. The watch is large, pretty prominent on the wrist, but it is quite comfortable because the lugs are short. Also, the case is water resistant up to 300 meters. The aluminum insert as well as the dial have a matte grainy surface. Luminous paint is applied on the hands and indices combined with blue, black, or bronze tone, which gives this watch a technical, modern look that is suitable for the brand. A date window occupies a space between the 4 and 5 o'clock position. Sapphire crystal also covers the dial to protect from rare scratches. And the watch comes with a woven rubber and ultra resilient synthetic fabric, or the aged leather and ultra resistant synthetic fabric for straps. Now, the weight of the watch is 115 grams. The face of the watch is 42 millimeters wide, and the retail price is $3,700 in US currency. And number one on this list is the Garmin Descent Mk1. Now, the Garmin Descent Mk1 is a fully capable GPS-enhanced dive watch. Specifically, it combines the technology of a watch, dive computer, altimeter, heart rate monitor, and GPS on a color screen. It's an all-encompassing device that is great for people who love to spearfish or who love to go down to the depths of the sea for a range of activities. And then it also serves as an everyday fitness watch. Now, at the core of the Descent Mk1 is the Fenix 5X platform for everyday activity tracking. So this watch not only records data from the reef you are diving, but also from the gym as well. And this smartwatch technology tracks daily wellness and fitness with its 26 different activity tracking capabilities. It supports up to 5 different dive modes as well as a range of above water features. This Descent specifically is the first dive computer to offer GPS tracking and maps on a 1.2-inch colorful display. The maps and plotted points can be viewed on the screen or through the Garmin Connect app. Now, because it does have GPS capability, battery life on this watch is up to 21 days when in watch mode, 12 days when in smartwatch mode, 40 hours in dive mode, and 20 hours in GPS mode. Now, the weight of the watch is 101 grams, the face of the watch is 51 millimeters wide, and the retail price is $999 in US currency. If you're an active diver, you can't go wrong with the Garmin Descent Mk1. With the Fenix 5X platform as its core, GPS tracking, and in-water readouts, this industry-leading product is definitely a timepiece that can and will get the job done. Alright, so those are the top 10 best dive watches on the market today. Now, was there a watch that you thought should have made the list? Well, if so, comment below. I want to see what you think. Now, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. All I really care about is making sure I provide you with the valuable content that will help you out. So your feedback is greatly appreciated. Also, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're dropping content every single day, so I want to make sure that you get notified when our new video drops. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. And as always, continue to rock your GShock nonstop. Deuces!